Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Authors on the Air. I'm your host, Deborah Ledford, and I'm so happy to welcome Elise Hart Kipness to the program. Say hello to the folks, Elise.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so
Oh,
excited to be talking to you.
I'm so thrilled that you're here. First off, you and I share the same fireball of an agent, Liza
Yes,
Fleisig of
yes.
Liza Royce Associates. Hi,
Hi, Liza.
Liza. And we have the same editor at our publishing house, Thomas and Mercer.
Yeah.
Hiya, Liz. Hi,
Hi,
Liz.
Liz.
Okay, let's get going. So, your debut novel from your Kate Green series, the debut is Lights Out. Ooh, look at that cover. Sweet. Which was an Amazon first reads pick. Amazing.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Most recently now, you gave us Dangerous Play.
Yes.
Okay. Um, and oh man, this is so much fun. I love it when writers present their real world experiences, so we can get a peek behind the camera. I mean, the curtain. What's really going on. I mean, real life situations. And you were a big time on camera sports and news reporter, and your character Kate Green is as well. So
Yes.
I'm curious, can you just give us, a little bit about Kate and the story behind Dangerous Play?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to think of Kate Green as like the way cooler version of me. We were both sports reporters, but she chases bad guys through the tunnels of Yankee Stadium and Madison Square Garden, and I chase my labradoodles around Key West. And her demons are much more interesting than mine. Mine are very mundane and boring and not worth writing about.
You
I know that's a good thing, right?
right.
And um, and I also, in a more serious note, I think that Kate is a lot tougher and a lot braver than I was when I was in the job.
Mm,
I was a reporter at the time when you kind of felt lucky to be in the game as a woman and just being part of that world. And there weren't a lot of women, especially in sports. Each station had their like kind of token female in front of a camera, but
right.
when the cameras were off, there were like 40 men and 4 or 5 women. And so I didn't stand up for myself the way Kate does.
Mm,
And I think that's a very cathartic thing that I'm doing. I'm having her, stand up to all those situations that I kind of was too timid to stand up to. So I love that about her. I love that
yeah.
she's tough.
Oh, me
And
too.
yeah, yeah. So it's really fun to write about. And then the other thing I did is I'm very short. I'm 5 feet, 0 inches, as you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
And Kate, I made taller. But when I interviewed anyone, not just NBA players, but anyone, I stood on a milk crate. And literally, my producer had to drag a milk crate around with them all the time for me. And even then, I'm like this,
Right.
but so I'm
Oh,
like,
that.
I'm giving her the height.
Oh, I love that. I bet they adored you. Are there any actual incidents you feature for any of the storylines in Lights Out and Dangerous Play?
Yeah, there were a couple of things that were based on real experiences. There's a part in Dangerous Play where Kate's boyfriend asks her a question on air, where it's really a question he knows she can't answer. It's like a stumping question to kind of whether he means it or not. You have to read the book to find out, but
Mhm.
um, it's a question that would embarrass her, and she knows how to handle that. She says, well, that's an interesting question, but the real question here is, and then she asks herself a question, answers it. But that happened to me when I was
Oh,
working in New York City and I was covering a news story, and I was very new. I mean, I was a baby at the time. I got sent to cover the collapse of a supermarket that collapsed because of the snow, and no one was hurt. But I got there 3 minutes maybe before we went on live. And the anchor said to me, how much did the snow on the roof weigh to make it collapse? I
Who
mean,
would know that?
exactly. I mean, and I was so like blah 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 blah, and I kind of stumbled my way through it. It was very embarrassing. I was very upset, and I get back to the news station, and one of the veteran reporters pulls me aside, and he's like, this is how you handle a situation like that. Because it was clear she was throwing me under, I exposed that it was a she was throwing me under the bus.
Yeah.
And he taught me that you say that's an interesting question, but the real question here is, and you ask yourself a question and then you answer it. And so I incorporated that
Oh,
into
brilliant.
the book. Yeah.
You got to redeem yourself in print.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And
It's
throw her under the bus.
yeah, right. It was about you. Um,
Yes.
it's a fascinating book because, as you mentioned, you take us places so few are privy to. I mean, like the catacombs of arenas, players and owners, luxury skyboxes, locker rooms, network control rooms. I mean, it's truly fascinating insights that, they put the reader right there with Kate. I felt like I was, just right over her shoulder. And you just do this so
Thank
brilliantly.
you.
And so, thank you for that, because
Oh,
I learned so
Deb,
much,
thank
because the
you.
thing is, I know it's real because you've been there and you're showing us and you're taking us. And I think that is just so brilliant. And I
Oh,
just thank you for that. And I don't think a lot of, well, maybe they do, but I don't know that a lot of readers know how much of, our past lives come into introducing storylines and maybe characters, maybe not, but um, but when you can really show what you know because you've done it, that is just gold, and you do it.
oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. It's so fun to go back to places in in your brain and not have to, like, for me, I sit in bed. I like to write in bed a lot, and no makeup, my hair is a mess, and I go back in my brain. You go back to these places. So like covering Yankee Stadium, because the second book takes place in Yankee Stadium. That's where the soccer matches are being played, and Major League Soccer does play at Yankee Stadium, so that's real. But I covered baseball at Yankee Stadium, and like just hanging out at Yankee Stadium was really like, it's kind of like unbelievable. I was
Right.
always fangirling, and being in the dugout, and so Kate fangirls over it. But it is like a really interesting experience, and there's something very magical about Yankee Stadium.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
man. Right. So there's so many fast-paced visuals and scenes throughout both books because there's actually a lot of action in it. It was because Kate gets out there.
She
Um,
does.
I want to read a little bit from chapter 8, Dangerous Play. Okay.
Okay.
Through the television and echoing in the hallway, feet continue to pound against pavement, louder, faster. Car alarms ring in the background. The footage switches to the lower concourse, where the bodies are more tightly packed together. The pushing and shoving appears more aggressive. The video shakes, and I imagine the camera operator must have gotten jostled. Oh, that is so great. That's just one paragraph. I mean, yeah. So buckle up your seatbelts, people, because it's a good wild ride.
Thank
Um,
you.
Now you also go into Kate Green's past, so it's a past as well as present um, journey, which of course ties everything together because a lot happens when she's a little kid, right?
It
Um,
does.
as a young rookie soccer player, right? Which is fascinating because, we find out more about the upcoming relationships to her teammates, what they meant to her back then and now. Um, like the schedule is training is rigorous, but I guess that's what it takes to make a professional athlete, right? But
Yeah.
really, I mean, that amalgam of all the characters, how they were before and how they are now. Oh, that was I think that was really, really, really smart to do the back and forth.
Thank you. That was really fun to do, and it was
Yeah.
challenging in the sense that book one I wrote, straight linear first person present. So it was a nice challenge to have those flashbacks and to go back in time. And soccer is the one sport that I came to from two places. I covered it, although it wasn't as big back then, so we didn't cover a ton. I had covered the Olympics. I was anchoring for the Sydney Olympics, I think, back in the States, and covering the overnights. But my son plays soccer. And so I know youth soccer in a different way than I know any other sport.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I used to drive him to Queens every day to
Oh,
train from Connecticut. I mean, that was
oh
a
my.
huge ordeal. And he did go to a couple of national camps when he was younger. So I had that, and then Ryan, who plays soccer in a D1 team, put me in touch with teammates who were play on the women's team, his friends who are
Oh.
on the women team, and I interviewed them, and some of the things in there, like being cut after one day and put on an A team and B team, were based on things that happened to these girls. Now the plot and the interaction was fictional,
Uh,
but it was based on kind of getting sparked from interviews with these female athletes,
mhm.
and it it's very hard. It's so much pressure because
Mm,
they're your teammates, but
right.
you're also vying for spots and starting, and
Yeah.
so there's this, and you're taking the most competitive people you can think of,
Mhm.
people who want to be professional athletes, and balancing the teammate versus the person you're competing with for a spot.
Right.
It's not an easy dynamic.
Yeah, because one's in and one's out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that would be hard. And that's what's so great about the research, that you get to speak to the real people, and then make up the incidents around it. But that's golden. I mean, right? It's just and it even makes it even more real. I mean, there some of the some of the stuff at the camp is like, boy, those girls, they're cutthroat.
yeah. I mean, there's nothing like a little girl drama to spice things up, right?
Right? I know. So Kate has to, navigate threats and suspicion and danger as she independently goes off on her hunt to find the truth, essentially, right, about what
Yes,
happened.
yes.
So, give us a little bit more about Dangerous Play. Like give us, you know, the character and how she was related to, the past and
Sure,
as the
sure.
future or now.
So while Kate's covering the Olympics, the soccer Olympics, a body is found in the locker room of Yankee Stadium, and Kate is there when the body's found. And she recognizes the body. It's someone called Alexa Kane, who she hasn't seen in 30 years. And she was a teammate of hers as a youth at national camp. And
Mhm.
she feels really guilty about how their relationship ended. She feels like she let her teammate down.
Right.
So she vows this time she is not going to do that. And she's determined to discover who killed Alexa, even if it means exposing secrets that will hurt Kate and hurt other people involved in the Olympics at the present time. And one of those is the head coach of the women's team. She was also a teammate of theirs, and now she's coaching these women. So there's a lot of issues
Mhm.
between these women from the
Right.
past that kind of bubble up to the present.
Yeah, that coach is a pistol, let me tell you what.
Yes, I know,
You
right?
kind of wish that the victims were switched a little bit, don't you?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But what fun would that be? Book would
I
end with
bet.
that.
Uh, but yeah, you kind of, I don't know, I guess Kate redeems herself a little bit because she becomes the advocate, right?
She
For
does.
her former teammate and someone that she has not been in contact with for like decades, right?
Yeah, not only redeeming herself, but also kind of exploring her past and taking another look at it and kind of facing something that she feels very guilty and troubled about, that she's pushed down and really is forced to look at from all different angles.
Mhm.
There's really a bit of an exploration into bullying and pressure um, of teenagers.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
And then let's see. So Lights Out was NBA, right?
Yes.
The National Basketball Association, and then Dangerous Play is professional soccer. And
Mhm.
I mean, I mean, both of those sports are, I mean, they're massive, especially, I mean, soccer now is finally taking off in the States. Um,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I assume that you're a fan of both, right?
I am. Basketball and the NBA was the first sport I ever covered.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel very like a connection to it. I had started covering the NBA lockout. I was a news reporter and they needed someone to
Wow.
cover the lockout. And it was like partially a news story.
Mhm.
And it was really fun. It was.
So is that when you were still a news reporter or were you already a sports reporter at the
I
lockout
was
time?
a news reporter and then I
Oh,
moved to the
I see.
NBA lockout and started covering sports, and it went really well. It was good for me too because as a news reporter, I covered a lot of tragedies, and
Mm, right.
it's interesting. You sometimes don't learn why you write what you write. I don't know if you feel this too until maybe even after it's published. Like I always knew why I wrote a sports reporter. I was a
Uh-huh.
sports reporter, but why thrillers? Like why not women's fiction, right?
Mhm.
And then I was listening to another author talk about getting like the darkness out of her when she
Oh,
writes. And I was thinking, I covered the Colin Ferguson Long Island Railroad shooting and the Flight 800 crash, which was just so tragic. And
oh,
every day for a month, people dealing with so much loss and serial
right.
trials and just like every day something depressing. I remember my mom being like, well, it makes sense you're always depressed, like you're dealing with death every day. And
Right.
then I was thinking about it after Lights Out came out.
Mhm.
Like, this is why I'm writing crime fiction, because I'm also kind of processing this
Hmm.
stuff, because when you're reporting on it, you're not supposed to feel it, and you shouldn't, because you're not being affected by it. You're not directly affected. It's someone else's tragedy. It's
Right.
something happening to someone else.
Mhm.
But I think it stayed with me, and so I think writing in the genre is
Mhm.
also kind of helping me deal with those emotions and
Cathartic. That's, yeah.
yeah, cathartic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um yeah, and then soccer, soccer is such a big part of my life, my
Mhm.
husband and my kids. So that seemed like a really good second one. And do you want to
And
hear about the third?
yes, there's going to be a third Kate Green, people. Listen to this one. Go.
Woohoo. It's called Close Call, and it's going to take place at the US Open, the tennis US Open. Yeah, which I used
Love
to
it.
cover, and that was so fun.
That's
I
my
was there.
favorite.
Is it your favorite? It
Oh,
was
yes.
it was such an amazing, because it's such a happening. It's like a great setting for for a thriller, because
Mhm.
it's not just tennis, but it's like it's an event. It's such
Yes.
a big ordeal.
Oh, I
Um,
can't wait. I cannot
I,
wait.
I,
So
yeah,
when is that? Do you have, okay, when is that going to come out?
August 19th.
August
Yes.
19th. Okay,
Right
people.
during the US Open.
Oh, that's perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
everybody, lights out.
Oh, can I just say, Deb, I just want to shout out like what a fan I am of your books and
Oh,
Havoc and Redemption. And everyone should, if they haven't read them, be reading your books because they're
oh,
amazing.
you
And
are so
you are
kind.
such a great author.
Thank you. You are so sweet. Thank you. Okay, and then dangerous play though. Come on, people. This is so hot. I can barely touch it. So hot. Elise, oh, thank you so much for joining me. I
Oh,
absolutely adore you, and I had so much fun.
I had so much fun and the feeling is right back at you.
Okay, great. Thanks everybody for joining us. Be back next time.